even though if it has appreciated since the time of purchase, still with a higher maintenance fee and an older unit, although you get more size, that impacts the selling side pricing strategy quite a bit. In today's video, I'm going to go through 11 locations in Toronto at the time of the recording of this video based on average price that you can buy a condo for less than $500,000 in order. Let's get to it. Hello everyone, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Remax Realtron Realty Inc. As always, my contact information in the description box. Get in touch if you have any questions. For those who have been getting in touch, I appreciate it. I will get back to you if I have not thus far. And feel free to subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Your support would mean a lot. This is not my main job. This is something I do for informative reasons, to inform the public and obviously to market myself a little bit. So your support would be much appreciated. Okay, first things first, I'm going to provide you with a list in order from the most expensive to least expensive, but even the most expensive areas based on the average price are still below $500,000. Having said that, at the end, in between, I'm going to provide my analysis a bit here and there and things you should know as a wider context. Second disclaimer, this is not GTA wide, right? So it's not going to have areas like Mississauga, Scarborough, Richmond Hill, Markham, all those areas. This is the municipality of Toronto. And also I'm going to go based on the TREB codes, the codes we use to designate certain areas in the municipality of Toronto, okay? C stands for central. You'll only see that once in the video. E stands for east and W stands for west. Easy, right? We'll get to it. Coming in at number 11 is C11 with the average price of a condo of $491,000. Now, this is the only time any location from the central parts of the city come in, and it's C11, which is one of the easternmost parts of the central locations of the city, if that makes sense. It's not east enough to be considered a E, so a E5, a E6, it's not Scarborough. However, it's still central, but it's on the border eastern end. If you're thinking of Leaside, for instance, and Thornhill area. And one of the reasons I suspect this is the cheapest area in the central location of Toronto, so not including the E's and W's we'll go through, because this is one of the areas less in demand. And furthermore, there isn't a ton of development occurring there. Next up, we have E07 at $484. The average price of a condominium within E07 would be $484. Now, another thing I should probably notify you about is the fact that these are condo apartments, not townhome condos, whether it's row or stacked. About Finch Avenue East, Shepherd Avenue East, around Morningside area, or just right north of the Morningside area. Condos in this area typically are older, as is the case just on the eastern end of the city in general. Anyways, E07 comes in at $484,000 for the average price as of the recording of this video for a condominium apartment. Next up, we go to the west side of the city towards the Mississauga area, but not quite, coming in at $480,000. So I said previously, you're going to see all W's and E's from here on in. Much like the east side of the city, W4 specifically has a lot of older units and buildings, especially on the Keel and Black Creek Drive area. Much older mid to low rises that have not been kept up or renovated in any sort of fashion, with high maintenance fees. Typically, the higher the maintenance fees, the older the building. As such, that impacts the price. The price comes down, believe it or not, even though if it has appreciated since the time of purchase, still with a higher maintenance fee and an older unit, although you get more size, that impacts the selling side pricing strategy quite a bit. Next, we go back to the east side of the city, and we're looking at an average price of $478 in the area of E09. Within the the last couple of two, it's only a matter of $4,000 to $2,000 in terms of the difference in average price. But that can be a bit misleading because in some of these locations, you actually do have quite a bit of condominiums. So the smaller ones that are maybe bachelors, or one very small one bedrooms kind of bring down the average. Whereas with the other ones wherein there aren't a lot of condominiums as is, and the ones that are more evenly balanced in terms of 2 bedrooms, 1 bedroom, and square footage. So those kind of bring up the average a bit, although they're on the older side nonetheless. With some certain areas, there's a lot of development, more newer units. Poor grammar on my part, but newer units coming onto the market more often, more development, smaller units, cheaper units bring down the average. So we have to keep that into mind as well. Next up, we see a drop of $12,000 in average price, a substantial amount, where we see an average price of $466,000 for E03. So this is what's technically called East York on the east side, just on the east side of the Don Valley. The Don Valley kind of divides the central areas and the east. And once again, you have a lot of older units in this area. I actually saw last year, I would say, some units in this area that were much older, and believe it or not the oldest units. That's coming up in the list later, but not surprising to me whatsoever, with the average price of $466. And then we stay on the west side with W4 with an average price of $444. So once again, the Lawrence and Keel area, I actually have quite a bit of friends who live here. It's a very good area. I would say, as is the case with some of these areas, it's not the fact that it's a lot of older units, but there is now some builder interest occurring, and the newer units are on the cheaper side. And we swing back to E04 with the average price of $442, just $2,000 drop. But as you see, since the time we started this list, which we believe started at C11 at $491, we're already down 70,000. There, actually, my math is wrong. 50,000 in average price. I don't know where I got 70 from. But you see, it makes it quite a bit of difference. Maybe between W10 and E4 is only 2,000, but there's a lot of room to operate with under the $500,000 mark in the city of Toronto, as long as you're flexible with location. But I wouldn't recommend many of these areas for investment purposes, because as I said, some of these units are very old, right? Very, very old. Ancient in a sense. So that's why some of the averages are also down as well, right? It's the smaller units that bring down the average in some cases. In the other cases where there isn't a lot of development, it's the larger, older units that have to pay upwards of $1,000 to $1,200 a month for maintenance. That's what brings down the average. We stay on the east side with E08 at $440,000. And then we go to the second cheapest area in the city of Toronto for condominium based on average prices as of the recording of this video, which is E11 at the average price of $419,000. That's a tremendous drop. Where the Toronto Zoo is, for instance, that area. It's a big area, as you can see on the map, but I'm just trying to refer to popular destinations that people might recognize certain areas from. And then lastly, the only area in the city of Toronto that you can actually get a condominium based on the average price, once again, condominium apartment for less than not only $500,000, but less than $400,000 is E10 at $370,000 for the average price. Let me tell you something about E10. I feel very confident in saying the reason the price is at $370,000 for average is not because of new development, although that might be happening. I saw some very ancient, I think that literally the oldest possible units in the history of mankind. After fire was invented, potentially they built these condominium buildings. I'm not quite sure if fire preceded this or was subsequent to this, but it was in the time frame, and it was crazy to me. As a professional realtor, even if I had clients who can only put down $10,000, I can still get that property, but I would never in a million years get them any of the units I saw. Some of them were very decently renovated in the interior, but it's not, you're not going to sell it ever again. It's amazing to me how old these units were and how past their economic life they truly were. So $370 for E10. Those are your 11 areas where you can purchase a condominium based on the average price. Condominium apartment, not townhomes, not including those. for less than 500. And hopefully this was informative. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at my Gmail, my Instagram, and my office address is in the description. And subscribe. Thank you for watching.